There are certain stories that don't get told the way they should. And sometimes that's not by accident, because when somebody steps outside the script, starts making real change, especially change that might inspire the wrong kind of people to dream, yeah, that's when the quiet hands get busy trying to shut it all down. That's what I started to feel when I came across a story of Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the young interim president of Burkina Faso. The more I read, the more I thought this story ain't about West Africa. It's about control. It's about vision. It's about what happens when someone dares to push the reset button. Now let me walk this back. I'm a black man from Los Angeles, born and raised in the United States. I've lived in Brazil. I've lived in multiple countries in Europe, and now I'm based in Central Europe. I've seen a good stretch of the world, but I've only been to Africa once, South Africa, for about a week. And even in just that short time, it shifted something in me. I had one of the most meaningful conversations of my life during that trip. Sitting in a hotel bar, just drinking and building up a cool relationship with none other than Peabo Bryson. Yeah, that Peabo. Beauty and the Beast, Celine Dion. You know who he is. Turns out it was his first time on the continent too. We didn't talk about fame. We didn't talk about music. We talked about what it meant to finally be there, to breathe it in, to touch a piece of something that had always felt distant but deeply familiar. So fast forward to me reading about this young man, Ibrahim Traoré, who goes from geology student to soldier, then soldier to leader. And not the kind of leader who hides behind bulletproof podiums. A frontline kind of guy. Quiet, sharp, made his way through real combat. He joins the army in 2009, fights insurgents, sees his brothers dying with no gear, while government officials back home are playing duffel bag politics, handing out stacks of cash while villages burn. So in 2022, he and a group of officials said, this is enough. And just like that, he becomes president at 34. So this is where it gets interesting. Because instead of playing nice, the man walks straight into the lion's den and says, y'all need to go. And by y'all, I mean France. He kicked out the French military. Now come on, that's not something you do every day. See you later. France had been in Burkina Faso since 2014 under Operation Barkhane. Thousands of troops, advanced gear, billions of aid, all under the banner of fighting terrorism. But by 2022, Burkina Faso had over 2,000 civilians killed in just 1 year. Over 2 million people displaced. So Traoré looked around and said, if this is help, I'll pass. Now listen, I had to ask myself the same question that some of y'all may be thinking. Why was France there in the first place? Nobody just rolls across a continent, sets up camp, and stays a decade out of the kindness of their heart. Come on. Burkina Faso is rich in gold. Not a few nuggets rich. Fourth largest gold producer in Africa rich. And that gold has been flowing out for years, unrefined, raw, with most of the money ending up in someone else's pocket. Mali, same deal. Niger, they're loaded with uranium. Uranium that powers up France's nuclear energy grid. France gets about 70% of its electricity from nuclear energy. Do the math. So you mean to tell me France was just in the neighborhood to fight terror? Nah, they were protecting their interests. And it runs deeper than that. France wants to keep its grip on Francophone Africa. Now, let's break that down because that's something I had to look up too. Francophone Africa refers to the parts of Africa where French is the official language. And that didn't happen naturally. It's a direct result of colonization. Side note, did you know more people speak French in Africa than all of Europe? France started colonizing big chunks of West and Central Africa in the late 1800s during a so-called scramble for Africa. That's when Europe sat around carving up the continent like a buffet, and France walked away with a full plate. Countries like Mali, Senegal, Cote d'Ivoire, Chad, Guinea, and of course Burkina Faso. Most of them didn't get independence till the 1950s and 60s. But even after the flags changed, France never really left. They kept the language, the business ties, and the military influence. And the CFA franc, a currency still controlled out of Paris. People say the colonialism never left. That's the environment Traoré walked into. And he said no. By 2023, the French troops were gone. Then he turned east, reopened the Russian embassy, closed since 1992. And yeah, I know, Russia's at war with Ukraine. They're seen as the villain. I get it. But again, countries like people are complicated. Russia stepped in where France stepped out. There are reports that Russia's intelligence may have helped stop the assassination attempt of Traoré in 2023. Whether that's true or not, what's real is that someone has tried to take him out, probably more than once. Yet he's still out here, still moving. In November 2023, he greenlit the country's first ever gold refinery. No more digging it up and sending it out. No more being the raw material provider for someone else's fortune. The refinery is expected to process 300 kilos of gold per day. That's almost 900 pounds of gold daily. Multiply that out, and you're looking at 130,000 pounds of gold a year. At today's prices, that's about 25 million every single day, over 9 billion a year. That's not petty cash. That's what a country can use to rebuild itself. That's schools, clean water, medical care, digital infrastructure, housing, and a food program. That's a country finally keeping its wealth instead of handing it off. And here's where it gets deeper. How much of that gold left Africa over the last, say, 100 years? Not just gold. Uranium, copper, rubber, lithium, oil. The entire modern world runs on resources pulled out of Africa. Folks talk about things being made in China, but the ingredients? The stuff powering your phone, my watch, your battery pack, that came out of the earth of Africa. I get so angry about this. The problem is for decades, centuries really, Africa's been rich in resources and poor in profits. The continent is literally the fuel for global wealth, and it's been robbed blind in broad daylight. So when people say, let the past go, oh my God. Nah, the past is the present. The past is still paying somebody's rent today. And it damn sure ain't the people that dug it up. So this is why, to me at least, Traoré's story matters. Because we are all products of our environment. But the decisions to change that environment, for better or for worse, is what defines us. Some people come from nothing and still move with purpose. Others are born with everything and still choose greed. So I pose that the question is, what's your motivation? Are you trying to be the boss for a photo op? Or are you out here trying to build something that lasts? For your people, for the world. Me, I'm drawn to people that carry something bigger than ego. People who understand that leadership means risk. And when you got a man like Traoré, young, targeted, standing against multiple systems, literally walking around with the price on his head, and he's still talking about sovereignty, about ownership, about dignity, you just have to pay attention. Because this isn't about liking every move he or any other leader makes. It's about what happens when someone challenges the pattern. And yeah, this is why stories like his gets buried. Because if it's a kid in Chicago, in Lagos, or in Atlanta, and sees this and thinks, I can lead too, that's the real threat. Because if we started dreaming outside the script, everything changes. So no, I don't know how his story ends. Maybe it turns, maybe it holds, but I'm watching. And if I ever got a chance to sit across from this guy, I would. No cameras, no filters, just one question. Who are you doing this for? And if the answer is my people and he means it, then what we're witnessing here isn't just politics. It's the early stages of legacy.